This is the NintendoRepairShop.com, and today we've got another repair for you. This is a DSiXL with a broken upper LCD. It won't show in the video, but you can see that the LCD is cracked. And I've already troubleshot this to find that in some rare cases the unit won't power on when the upper LCD has been broken. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and open into the unit. I'm going to first remove the battery door with the two screws. I can scratch that. I should say what tools we need first, huh? This is the NintendoRepairShop.com, and today we've got a DSiXL with a bad upper LCD that's been cracked. So before we get into the repair, there's some tools you're going to need. You will need a size 0 Phillips head screwdriver, an X-Acto knife comes in handy, a pair of tweezers, and I find using a spudger tool that you can get at Radio Shack is excellent. And so we're going to get into the repair, and first thing we're going to do is remove the battery door by just loosening the two screws here. And you can tilt the unit over and the battery door will fall off. Set that to the side and go ahead and pull your battery out. Put to the side as well. You're going to have 4 rubber pads around the outside. We're going to go ahead and just lift those out. Have a tiny bit of adhesive. I like to just stick them right next to their hole. That way they don't get lost and makes putting it back together go a little bit quicker. There we go. You use your Phillips head screwdriver and remove all 4 of these screws. There's a total of 7 screws on the back of the system, keeping the rear cover on. You have those 4 under those. You have 2 longer black screws in these 2 slots, and then one more small one here in the game slot. Remove those, set that all to the side, and then you can just, while holding the unit, just pull back. And this, you can either use your tweezers and come around the side. This is where I like to use the spudger and just run it around the side. You can see that the taper just loosens up all of those connections going all the way around. It comes right up, and you have 2 connections on the inside here, a little different from the DSi, that connect the you have your trigger over here, which would be your left trigger, and then your right trigger and SD card over on this side. If you just pop those off, you can just set this whole assembly to the side. And on the back, you have your Wi-Fi. You go ahead, disconnect, and lay that to the side. The microphone, disconnect that, lay it to the side as well. And you have a total of 5 screws, 1 in each of these corners and 3 over here that we're going to remove. And you have your power board. You don't need to remove any of those screws or take that off. You have the ribbon cable that connects to it. You just pop your latch here. You can either use this or your fingernail and just pull that out. And then you also have your battery connector. Same thing, you put it under and then just lift. You can use your tweezers as well. So we've got those undone. I'm going to go ahead and remove all 5 of our motherboard screws. Holding it down. Put all of those away. And now I'm going to go ahead and get the motherboard out. You have your camera assembly You just pull your latch and pull that ribbon cable out. And you don't have to, we'll save you a couple steps, you don't have to take apart the lower LCD from the motherboard. You just, from the inside, you push out on the touchscreen. That will lay it over. And then the same thing here on this side. You just pop the latch for the upper LCD and pull it out, and you can set the whole motherboard assembly to the side. Now we're just going to pull these out because we're going to have to pull those through. And you got your Wi-Fi connected right here. Just it's your standard little push-on connector. Just set all your parts to the side, nice and together and neat. Go ahead and start removing this. So one thing that is different from the DSi is you don't have just a little ribbon that you can pop out. It's one full card that covers that. I think I may have said don't remove that, but in this particular instance I was going back to DSi. So we've got all of that removed. Let's pull your card out. This is the power board, so you have a fuse on it as well. So if you ever have a charging issue, it could possibly be that. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the LED covers, set them to the side. And what you're going to have to do is we're going to open up the top half first because it locks it in, but you'll use your spudger or your tweezers or your screwdriver to push your hinge through. That's right there. So pretty much just open it up about 90 degrees, and you have your 4 screw covers. So just use your X-Acto blade and get under it, and just be gentle. If you're doing too fast, you might shoot it out across the room. And then just stick it down. There we go. So you just have your 4 screws. Just take all 4 of these out. And we'll get them set to the side, and then we can go ahead and fully disassemble the unit. So once you have that, all 4 of those out, you can go ahead and close it. And just like every other DS, with the exception of the original, you just push forward on the outer upper half and it will scoot it forward. And then you just pull it off. You roll the insides. The camera on these is stuck right there with just a little dab of adhesive. So you just peel that off. Set your upper outer half to the side. And now your upper half will have a piece right here that keeps your hinge stuck inside. So you'll take your spudger or your screwdriver and just go right inside, and you should be able to see your hinge. And you go ahead and push it on out all the way. There we go. That will release the upper half. So we can go ahead and continue the disassembly. So what you're going to do here, you're going to have to slide this lower half away from the unit to the side while making sure that in the slot you're feeding your 2 ribbon cables here. In this case, because the upper LCD is bad, we're going to not worry too much about the ribbon cable for the LCD, but you definitely want to make sure that the camera ribbon does not get damaged, or you'll wind up having to replace that. So you just get it apart, pull your microphone and antenna wires out. Set that lower inner half to the side, and we'll go ahead and pull everything out. In here, you have the cover here for the microphone and the lower half of the camera. Just take your screw out. Lay all of this to the side. I like to pull out the antenna and the microphone first. Just makes it easier feeding those two ribbon cables out through the hole. So this is for the antenna for your Wi-Fi. Set that to the side, and then we'll go ahead and just pull up the cable for the microphone and set this to the side as well. So essentially what you do now is you just roll this around itself until you're able to feed it through your ring here, the middle hinge. So you don't have to roll it around too many times, just about one full rotation, one and a quarter or so, and you can get it to get right up in there. And then all you have to do, make sure all of your wiring is loose so that way it's not holding itself down. Pop up the LCD and go ahead and start pushing it on through there, and just get it pulled right on out. And that leaves us, we got the upper half, and we have the upper LCD assembly, which you just separate your camera from it because we're going to have to do a little bit of soldering. So you have the speaker wires where they connect right here, and they're labeled positive, negative. So, and they on your replacement LCD will be labeled as well. So you just right next to the solder pads, you can see a positive or a negative. So you just unsolder those. Now we're about ready for our new one. So unless you've ordered a new shell, you're going to want to reuse this upper part, and there is 99% of the time a film that is on the upper LCD to protect from fingerprints, smudges, minor scratches, things like that you will want to remove, because I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it is rather dirty, and that is simply just the film. So what I like to do, I like to start by just getting the adhesive peeled back a little bit so it'll come off nice and quick. I like to leave as little air exposure as possible so that there's no dirt between the two. So using the X-Acto blade, I'm just going to lightly pick at the edge here until sometimes one edge doesn't work and you have to go to another. There we go. Just until the film starts coming up. And just make sure you're very light with it, because if you get too aggressive, you almost always will damage the actual LCD itself. There we go. Got that peeled back. And then you just peel it off of the old one, set it on the new one, and it pretty much across the top and the two right and left sides will align up just right. Nice and good. And then you want to save this part here. That's what keeps your camera in place. And then this is trash. You want to try to make sure that you recycle it. They do have mercury in them. So we'll go ahead and we're going to solder on the new connections. So get your solder and your soldering iron, and you're going to want to do, it's called tinning, and you're going to want to put a nice small bubble of solder on each of the solder pads. You don't want it to be a giant mound. If it looks like a ball sitting on top of it, you've got just a little too much. You know, just be a nice little round mound on it. Got that done. We'll go ahead and put our solder back up. And make sure that when you do it, you do black on negative and red on positive, and this is exactly how it should look to you. If you're looking at the bottom of the system, so if it's facing you like this, on the right side, right here, both of these are going to be your negatives. So what you're going to do is you're going to heat the solder, insert the little bare end, and let go and hold it for just a second. That way your solder will cool down. And if you're not new to soldering, you can fast forward this. I like to just make sure that all of my connections are nice and in there, and you can still see a nice smooth round bubble on top. That way I know that it's not going to come loose or catch on anything. There we go. So we've got both of these done, and they do both run in this direction. Your long speaker here for the opposite side, that's going to actually run around the top of the unit, not the bottom. So now that we've got that done, the next part is to put the LCD and camera ribbons back through the small ring here. So we're going to go ahead and set these down. Try to straighten out your ribbon cable here just a little bit. That way they lay on each other a little neater. Don't crimp it. Alright. Now what you can do, there we go, I was looking for my masking tape. I like masking tape just because it comes off so easy. Take yourself just a very small piece. You want to line these two up. Make sure that the bottom here of the two ribbons is nice and even. And then just go ahead and put a piece of tape right here. And that'll just temporarily hold it together. You will want to remove that after you're done, before you put the system together. That way there's give in the ribbon cable. And so what you do, what I like to do, is I just roll it over. Let me see if I can get a better camera angle on this. I roll the two over so they're just like that, and then if you pull down on it with your finger, it will tighten that roll up, and then you just proceed to roll it over itself and get at least 2 good rolls in it. That way it'll hold together. Bring this over, and you kind of want to do it opposite of how I'm doing it, so that this is towards you, the LCD is on the other side of it. That way you can get everything rolled up nice, and then when you pass it over and put it in, when you put this in front of you, it kind of just, everything just lines up real nice. And we'll go ahead and pull the ribbons through. Give them some gentle coercion and they will eventually get their way through. There. There you go. And that gets them both through. Nice and easy. Take your time with that part. That's one of the hardest parts of this. If I make it look easy, I've just done a couple hundred of these. So definitely take your time. Don't rush it. You don't want to ruin the cable of the new LCD that you just purchased. So now the first thing that we're going to put in is we're going to go ahead and put this microphone cable back in. You just feed it right on through those ribbon cables. And then set it down in its spot. And then just using one part of your tweezers, just tuck it on down. And that'll get it right back where it should be. We can take our cover. It has a little foil tape. I keep the foil tape from the old one. Put your camera in its spot. And this simply just serves to hold that camera right in place. That screw. There we go. And we'll put our screw in. Get the tape back down. And then the next part we're going to run is we're going to go ahead and actually we need to run the speaker for this opposite side, so we'll run those. But you have these bumps here. These are just channels to, you can just tuck the speaker wire in them, and that helps to hold everything in place so when you get it together it doesn't pop out, catch on anything. There we go. And then this one, we're going to run this over the top. Tucking it in anywhere where you see one of these small little bumps that come off of the board. Those are there to hold that wiring in place. There we go. Just right on over the top. And then go ahead and set your speaker in and just finish tucking away the cable, and once your speaker wires are in place, we'll run the last little piece, which is going to be our antenna for the Wi-Fi. So, in like fashion, you're going to run this right here through the two ribbon cables. And it's got the little U shape that fits it around the screw hole there. So we'll just go ahead and tuck her on in all the way down the line. There we go. There. Now it is almost ready to go together. I'm going to make sure that this small rubber piece with the semi-opaque plastic goes in right here. This is for your LED, let you know that it's taking a picture. And then we're going to go ahead and put the camera back in its spot. Still has the adhesive, so it'll hold itself there. So you put the camera in, stick the little piece of adhesive there. And before we actually put it together, because we do have this hinge piece, that just gets it ready. We're going to go ahead, taking our lower half, and this, you got your slot side, this is where all your wiring is going to go through. So you first feed your two microphone and antenna wires all the way through. And then it helps if you kind of put them perpendicular like this. So if you hold it like this, with the upper half on your right side, lower half on your left side, and turn the back part of the upper half to your left, will help to line up these ribbon cables nicely with the slot for them to feed through. There we go. You got those in. And just gently wiggle until both of the ribbons, there we go, pass through, and then you can seat it. Alright, and once you have it together as it should be, we can go ahead from the hinge here on the hinge side. Sometimes it's a little difficult getting in. There you go. Just push it on through. You want to look on the opposite side, make sure it flushes right here on the inside. You want it to be flush with the plastic. And we can go ahead, push our upper half together, and then slide it back towards the back. And that's got it halfway assembled. So we'll go ahead and we'll put our 4 screws back here. And just to remind you, it's these silver screws with a very long thread. And it's kind of important to use these because about half the adhesive stays on these screws from the sticky pads. So if you use the other ones, then when you put your small stickies back on, they probably won't stay on permanently after that. They'll probably wind up falling off. So just put your square pieces back in. And just make sure they sit flush. There we go. Now we have the full upper half assembled. We can go ahead and put in everything else back together. So you're going to take your 2 microphone and antenna wires, running the microphone, the black one, first. The same here, you have the small bumps that are for running wires. And you have 2 of them there. You, between the bump and the wall, put the first one and just tuck it in all the way around. And then you just tuck it into your channel here. And that'll have it nice and ready for you to lay over the motherboard when it's back in the system. So just continue running this around. We've got those two together. Now we're going to go ahead and put our motherboard back in. You want to make sure that your clip here for the upper LCD is open. You have two ribbon cables. First one, the camera one, the smaller one, you want to lay over. You don't want to pull on it very hard, but you want to have it just lay over. And you can hold it down with your finger. And then you just insert the ribbon cable for the LCD. If you can see how I'm doing it, I have the motherboard slightly above the shell here. And that allows me to use my thumb and just kind of give it some tension. That way it's together. The important part to note is when you're looking at it, there's a small lip here on each side of the ribbon cable, and that is very important to be flush. If it is not flush, then once you get the system back together, it'll give you a problem just as if there was no upper LCD present. So now we've laid in the motherboard. We didn't take out the LCD, so don't have to worry about putting any of them ribbons together. We're going to use our tweezers, and we're going to go ahead and put the ribbon cable for the camera back in. Sometimes you just have to get a good pinch on it, get it in. Once it's in, it'll hold itself. So now we've got that, we want to go ahead and put our power board back in. So you have the small plastic channel for the light to pass through, and that will only go in one way. Same thing with the black piece here. They both will only go in one specific way. And then you just lay your power board on top of that. And it's all the small silver screws. We'll go ahead and put all of those back in. There's a total of 7 in all. Yep, that's 5, 6, and 7. And we'll go ahead and do our motherboard. Total of 5 screws, 4 of the black screws with the larger head. And then one last small silver screw. Alright, we can go ahead and start connecting all of our pieces back together. You have your microphone, which connects right here. Just lay that over and push it down. Get your Wi-Fi card, and it's got its own push down here on it. So you just snap those together. And right here next to where you plug in your microphone, there's a small clip for holding the wire. So if you clip your Wi-Fi card in, you can pull a little bit of that slack out and have it coming towards the Wi-Fi card and plug right into that, and that'll just keep that slack. There we go. We have one ribbon cable here for the power board, and this is for your D-pad and the power button and all those things, and then the actual battery connector. There we go. It has a small channel here to tuck those wires in to keep them safe. And then you got the back half of the unit. You got your two plugs, you just lay those over. It's a little easier to do the right one first, because you have a lot more wiggle room with the left. And then we're on the home stretch. We'll go ahead and put all of our screws in. The two long black screws go here. It just helps to make it unnoticeable. And we have the 4 silver screws that go under the 4 rubber pads. There we go. And then just take your tweezers or your finger and you just set these guys back in their hole. Gently push them down into place and then give them a firm push so it'll stick. Insert the battery, close it up, and that is a successful repair on the Nintendo DSiXL. And there we go. And that's it. If you have any questions, you can email us at dsrepair@nintendorepairshop.com. All parts that you need for any repairs on any Nintendo DS, DS Lite, DSi, or DSiXL, you can find on our website as well. Thank you and have a good day.